welcome back. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about shutter speeds, what they mean, how they work, what effects they give. But remember, this is the basics for the beginner photographer. Again, like I said in other videos, if you're already shooting, if you already know this stuff, I'm not going to give you anything new here. This is for the beginner. So, shutter speeds. Here is my shutter speed dial on the OM10. Right now I'm at 1/25th, so 125th of a second. Just like ISO, shutter speeds are measured in stops of light. So 250 is double 125. So 250 is one stop less of light. So ISO, the higher number, it's more light, but in shutter speed terms, it's less. So they're flipped around. So it can get a little bit confusing, but bear with. So 125th, that's whatever shutter speed it is. Then one less stop, is 250. One less stop of light again is 500. One more less stop is 1,000. And if we go the other way, 500 is one more stop of light than 1,000. 250, another stop extra. 125, another stop more light again. 60, one more stop. 30, one more stop, and so on. So 15, 4, 8, 2, 1. It can get confusing. I'm not going to lie. The fact that ISO doubles its value to give you one more stop, and shutter speeds halve their value to give you one more stop. It can be confusing, but the more you do it, the more you get used to it. So, again, your question might be, well, why don't I just go for the fastest shutter speed and just leave it there? Well, there's effects that shutter speed has on your picture. So let's say I'm shooting someone running fast, or I'm shooting a car at a racetrack or something. If I've got a fast shutter speed, I've got a better chance of getting a clear image of them frozen in motion, frozen in time. And hopefully all the edges will be sharp and everything like that with a fast shutter speed. The slower I go, let's say I'm shooting a car at 30th of a second or 15th of a second, that shutter takes some time to open and close. If I show you the difference on this camera here, so let's say I'm at 15th of a second, okay, and I fire, okay, it's it's two very clear hits. If I go to 1,000, it's much quicker. It's much quicker. That time at 30 or 15th of a second that it takes to open the shutter and close it, the moving object that I'm photographing has traveled during that time. So it opens and the thing was here, and when it closed, the thing was here. So what you get is a blur, is a speed trail, if you like. So you can see the motion. So that might be an effect you want, which you won't get with a faster shutter speed. If let's say you are at a racetrack or something, and you're photographing a car, if it's a perfectly clean, still image, there's no sense of movement in that. It's almost not real. So maybe you want to include some movement, so you might want to choose a slower shutter to get that, and then you'll get that sense of motion. So that's the big differences between shutter speeds. They are going to introduce motion. On an SLR camera like this, you've got to remember that there is that mirror that flips up and down, and that introduces some camera shake. It's small, and if you're really good at using these and holding them tight, you can negate some of that. But there is some shake, so as you go lower, you have to remember that is being introduced more into your shot. On something like a rangefinder, that's not going to happen because you don't have that slapping mirror. But on an SLR you do, so you have to take that into account. But then if you've got a tripod, that's not, it's not an issue. So you can choose a slower shutter. So, slow shutters, more movement, more light. Fast shutters, less movement, less light. So, if you were shooting at night, you're going to need a slower shutter, usually, depending on your film ISO, because you need to let more light in. And in the daytime, you're probably going to be in the faster shutter speed ranges. Again, depending on your ISO. So, just remember stops of light. As the number doubles, the stops of light become less, and as it halves, they become more. Confusing now, but it will all make sense soon.